For every single human identity in your enterprise, for every employee, every contractor, there are 25 to 50 machine identities running in the background. Service accounts, API keys, OAuth tokens, certificate, bot, AI agents. And here is the interesting part for security leaders, that 68% of IT security incidents nowadays involve machine identities, not human accounts. They are non-human accounts. If you look at the current identity landscape, most identity and access management programs were never built for this. And that is exactly why non-human identities have become the number one blind spot in enterprise security. Welcome back to TechFX and our brand new playlist, Identity Security Decoded. I'm your host Amar Kumar, and in this series we are going to break down the hottest topic in IAM, customer IAM, PAM and IGA for security professionals, especially dealing in overseas markets. Today is episode 1 and we are going to explore what analysts from Gartner, CrowdStrike and CSO Online are all calling the defining identity security challenges of 2026, and it is about non-human identities. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what NHIs are, why your existing IAM stack cannot manage them, a real case studies where NHI failures caused massive damage, and the emerging vendor landscape that is racing to solve this problem. If you work in identity, security architecture, DevSecOps, or you are a CISO trying to figure out where to invest your next budget, this video is right for you. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss the rest of the series. Now, let's start with the basic. A non-human identity is any digital credential that allows a software system, an automated process, or an AI agent to authenticate and access resources without a human being directly involved in that specific transaction. Think of it this way. When you log into your company's Salesforce or AWS console, that is a human identity. You type your password, you complete MFA, and you are logged in. But behind the scenes, there are dozens, sometimes hundreds of machine-to-machine connections happening that never go through a login screen. All right, sounds interesting? Let me walk you through the 6 main types of NHIs. First is service accounts. These are dedicated accounts that run automated processes like your backup jobs, EOD, BOD processes, your database synchronizations, your monitoring agents, and so on. They often have broad permissions and continuously run. Second is API keys. These are static credentials that authenticate one application to another. Your payment gateway talks to your order management system using an API key. Similarly, your CI/CD pipelines talks to your cloud provider using an API key. Third is OAuth tokens. You must have heard. When you connect Slack to Google Drive or Salesforce to HubSpot, those integrations operate using OAuth token that persist long after you click allow. Fourth is certificate and secrets. TLS certificates for machine-to-machine encryption, SSH key for server access, database connection, strings, all stored in configuration files. Fifth is bot and RP identities. Your automation platform like UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and other RP platforms all create robotic identity that access production system. And sixth is the big one for 2026, which is AI agent identities. Every time your organization deploy a copilot, a coding assistant, a customer support agent, or an autonomous data pipeline, that agent needs credentials to authenticate. A single AI workflow can create dozens of new NHIs. Now, here is the problem. NHI outnumber human identities by ratio of 20 is to 1 or 50 is to 1. And in some hyper-automation environments, even over 100 is to 1. And with the explosion of agentic AI in 2026, this growth is accelerating faster than any governance process can keep up with. So why can't your existing IAM stack handle this? Okay, let me give you 5 fundamental reasons. One is no MFA. Human identities are protected by multi-factor authentication. NHIs bypass MFA entirely. A service account authenticates with a static key. An API token does not get a push notification on a phone. Reason 2 is no lifecycle management for NHI. I'm talking from the joiner mover lever process aspect for human identities. When an employee joins a company, HR creates their identity. When they leave, HR triggers deprovisioning, right? NHI have no HR processes. A developer creates a service account one day and that account is still running with full privilege 3 years later also. Reason 3 is no behavioral baseline pattern. Your IAM system knows what normal looks like for a human users, like they work specific hours, access systems from consistent locations. So for human users, there are predictable hours, locations, and access patterns, right? In case of NHI, they operate 24/7 from anywhere. There is no normal to baseline against. Reason 4 is no ownership defined. Human identities have a manager who responds to access review emails. According to the report, 97% of NHI have excessive privileges and 92% of organizations are exposing NHI to third parties. Who is responsible then? Usually nobody. Reason 5 is no rotation discipline maintained. Research shows 71% of non-human identities are not rotated within recommended time frames. Okay, now the bottom line is most of the existing IAM platform, and some are calling themselves as a convergence IAM, their identity governance, access certification campaigns, and even IGA workflow, all of them were designed for human users. Whereas the NHI problem is fundamentally different and it requires fundamentally a different solution. All right, now let's look at what happens when NHI security fails. And I'm not talking about theoretical risks. These are real breaches from past 18 months. The first case was Microsoft AI storage breach, where a misconfigured SAS token, that is a shared access signature, which is a type of NHI credential, exposed 30 terabytes of sensitive internal Microsoft data that included password, private keys, and internal messages. This was not a sophisticated zero-day exploit. It was a single overprivileged unmonitored token. The second case was Circle CI breach, where attackers compromised an OAuth token in Circle CI's environment. Thousands of customers were forced to rotate their secrets across their environments. And the blast radius was enormous because one NHI had access to the entire CI/CD pipeline. The third case was Sales Loft Drift supply chain breach. This was called the biggest SaaS breach of 2025. Attackers compromised OAuth tokens that compromised 700 downstream customer environments. And the blast radius was 10 times greater than direct attack. The fourth case was Beyond Trust API key compromise. Attackers exploited a compromised API key to reset passwords for local application accounts in Beyond Trust support SaaS. The company had to revoke the key, suspend impacted instances to contain the damage. The fifth case is Red Hat GitLab breach. In October 2025, attackers compromised Red Hat's GitLab consulting instance and accessed nearly 28,000 private repositories and 800 customer reports containing network diagrams, database URIs, and live credentials. The sixth case was LastPass breach chain, where attackers exposed NHI chain and obtained access. They systematically created additional NHIs, enabling repeated intrusions over time. Okay, now here are the stats. The Spy Cloud 2026 Identity Exposure Report found that 18.1 million API keys and tokens were exposed in 2025 alone, plus 6.2 million credentials tied to AI tools. Meanwhile, another research discovered that over 10,000 Docker Hub container images were leaking production API keys, cloud tokens, and CI/CD credentials into public repositories. This is not just a theoretical problem. This is happening right now at a massive scale. All right, so the problem is clear. Now let us talk about who is building solutions. Right? I want to walk you through the four main categories of vendors and the key players in each. So here's the first category, that is NHI lifecycle and governance. These are the purpose-built platform that discover, inventory, classify, and govern non-human identities across your cloud, SaaS, and on-premise environments. In this category, Entra Security is in the first place. They build the NHI's lifecycle management layer with discovery, classification, secrets scanning, and behavior anomaly detection. News is that they recently raised $24 million backed by Dell Technologies Capital. Second solution is OAuth Security. They also raised $75 million from Sequoia, Excel, and CyberStarts. They are building the agentic access management and governing not just what an identity is, but what is allowed to do at runtime. The third solution in this category is Asterisk Security. They focus on SaaS governance, auth control, and they recently launched an agent control plane for AI agent identities. Second category is secrets detection and scanning. GitGuardian is the dominant player here, expanding in NHI governance to cover the full lifecycle. And third category is machine identity management. The big one here is CyberArk plus Venafi. For your information, CyberArk acquired Venafi for $1.5 billion, which is the single biggest bet on NHI security. Next solution in this category are SailPoint, Okta, and Microsoft Entra. All are adding NHI capabilities, though their primary focus remains human identity. And the fourth category is workload identity and access. In this category, Ambit comes first, and they are focused on replacing static credentials with short-lived identity-driven access. Next one is Achilles, and they offer SaaS native secrets management for enterprise, Vault as a service. It's quite interesting. Before we go further, let me put the disclaimer over here. All these solution providers are as per my knowledge, and it may slightly differ from person to person research. Okay, a few things worth noting here. First, this market is consolidating fast, and large players will likely acquire these solutions. Second, no single vendor covers the full NHI lifecycle end to end. Now, let's talk about a 5-step playbook you can take back to your organizations this week. First step is discover an inventory. Run a full discovery across your cloud environment, SaaS integrations, CI/CD pipelines, and code repositories. Second is assign ownership. Every NHI needs a human owner, a person or a team accountable for its lifecycle, permissions, and rotations. Without ownership, governance is impossible. Third is eliminate static credentials. Replace permanent API keys with short-lived tokens that expire automatically. Implement just-in-time access. Automate credential rotation on a defined schedule. Fourth is right size privilege. 97% of NHI have excessive privileges. Apply least privilege to every service account, every token, every certificate. Audit permissions quarterly at minimum. And the fifth step is implement NHI detection and response. Deploy behavioral monitoring specifically designed for machine identities. Add NHI specific detection rules to your SIEM and ITDR tools and set the alerts. Remember, this is not just a technology problem, it is a governance problem. The technology exists. What most organizations lack is the ownership model, the policy framework, and the operational discipline. Now, if you thought the NHI problem was big, wait until our next episode. We are going to deep dive into agentic AI identity. How autonomous AI agents are creating an entirely new class of identity that is even harder to govern than traditional NHI. Gartner named it one of their top 6 cybersecurity trends for 2026. That video is going to be essential viewing for everyone building or securing AI powered enterprise workflows. If this video helped you understand the NHI landscape, hit that like button, and if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. Until next time, stay secure, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.